Hello, this is the latest wrestling review from me. So this one is WCW Clash of Titans, start that again. WCW Clash of the Champions 10 from February the 6th, 1990. And I will try and remember as much of it as I can. I'll tell you the results, obviously, and then I will try and tell you some of the other things that happened on the show. So the opening was Jim Ross and Jim Cornette walking around to the show. So what matches were coming up that night, and then they threw it over to Gordon Soley, and he interviewed. Can't remember now. I'm sure he interviewed someone at the start of the show. That's right, yeah. He interviewed the Road Warriors, who talked about their match later on in the show against the Skyscrapers. So the first match was the Samoan Savage, managed by the Big Kahuna Oliver Humperdinck, and he was taking on Dr. Death Steve Williams. Quite a good match. Pretty tough hitting, as you would expect with a Samoan in there. But yeah, Dr. Death with the win after he did a roll-up on Samoan Savage. He got the 3. And then the next match was a tag team match between the Mod Squad, which was Spike and Basher, and they took on the tag team of Flying Brian and the Z-Man. As you can imagine, lots of high flying from Brian and Z-Man. Good match overall, not bad, entertaining. Obviously, a bit of a botch at the end where the Z-Man jumped off the ropes to do a crossbody. Didn't quite catch it as he would like, but it was enough, and they got the 3. Now, I'm not entirely sure this happened between the first or second or third, but I'll go with the third match. So Terry Funk was in the ring, and he was doing an interview segment with the 4 Horsemen. So the Horsemen came out, and Ollie Anderson got on the mic, and well, if you know anything about the Horsemen, you'll know that this was the segment. This is the segment where they kick Sting out of the 4 Horsemen. Basically, Ollie Anderson basically told Sting to shut up. He never really actually said anything. He just told him to shut up. And then he basically said, you've got 2 hours to decide. You're out the Horseman, but you can either give up your title shot at Wrestle War, which is going to be on February 25th, or we make your life a living hell. And that's where they left it. And then Sting wasn't happy. He was about to say, well, I don't believe in this. And then Ric Flair beat the crap out of him and then told him to say, get out of this business. You've seen this. Lots of people will have seen this. This is well known. You can get out of this business. I've borrowed you some time. Blah, blah, you will have seen this. It was, I've seen it before myself. So yeah, it was good. It was good, that bit. And then the next match was Cactus Jack Manson. Yes, it was him. Against Mexican legend Mil Mascaras. It wasn't a very long match. It was about 5-6 minutes long. It was alright. Probably the best moment of the match was Cactus Jack getting, didn't realise Mil Mascaras was in the ring, and Mil Mascaras came and drop kicked him, and he fell on the concrete floor on the back of his head. So yeah, that was interesting. And then after that match, Mil Mascaras won, by the way, obviously. Did a crossbody. It was about a minute after Cactus Jack Manson hit his head on the floor. A minute after that, Cactus Jackson was walking around not happy with the band, because they had a band playing in the background, and the drummer came and confronted him because he was going to attack the guitarist, and his name was Wolf Wild. Yeah, that was his name. And then they started brawling, and that was the last thing you saw of those two. And then we go on to the next match, which was a Falls Count Anywhere match. This was between Kevin Sutherland and, as it turned out, Norman the Lunatic, who did a pre-match interview with Gordon Soley, and he said basically that if he got a free, he'd get free hot dogs from the stand. So, man for my own heart there. And I don't know who actually won this, because at the end of this match, they went off into the ladies' toilet, and you could hear Nick Patrick go 1, 2, 3, and said that Norman Lunatic won. So I'm going with that he won by pin, but I don't know. No one knows. And then the next match was that match was referenced at the start of the show. It was the tag match between the Skyscrapers, which were managed by Teddy Long, and they were Dangerous Dan Spivey and Mean Mark Callis, and they took on the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, Hawk, and Animal. I don't know the end. I don't know what the official ending or official result of this is, mainly because they didn't announce it. So there was lots of mayhem at the end. Callis and Spivey gave Spike Piledriver to Animal, I think it was. But in the end, in the end, I don't know, because they started laying out Hawk with chair shots to the head. So personally, I think it was a no contest, and probably sets up another match, probably at Wrestle War, probably meet again. But yeah, it was a good, brutal in parts, but yeah, good. And then the next match was for the stipulation of the NWA World Tag Team Championships were on the line, as it was a titles versus mask match, and the titles on the line, and it was Doom, who were Doom 1 and 2, and they were, basically the premise of this was, if Doom won, they would win the titles. If Doom didn't win, they'd unmask. They were taking on the NWA World Tag Team Champions at this point, in Rick and Scott Steiner. Good match, as always, with the Steiners. Can't go wrong. The ending was a bit odd. So the whole point of this was that if the Steiners successfully defended the title, then the mask would come off. Now, this being wrestling, obviously there's a bit of leeway, and before the end of the match, Rick Steiner managed to pull one of the masks off one of the Doom guys, who turned out to be Hacksaw Butch Reed, formerly in the WWF as Butch Reed. So he got rolled up by Rick Steiner, and the Steiner brothers retained their titles. So they won the tag team title, they retained the tag team titles there. And then Gary Michael Capetta, who was the really good ring announcer, he announced that if the other Doom didn't take off his mask, both he and Hacksaw Butch Reed would be suspended from wrestling. And at first he didn't want to do it, he was holding back, and then he took his mask off to show it was Ron Simmons. Yes, Doom are Hacksaw Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, but they came up short for the tag team titles in this match. And then we came to the main event. Now, before the main event, the Four Horsemen tried to do an interview behind the scenes, saying to Sting that if you didn't tell him by the end of the night what he was going to do, then they might beat him behind the scenes, they might beat him in the ring, they might beat him in the streets. Who knows? They were going to beat him up. So the main event was a steel cage match between the bizarre pairing, or triple threat pairing, of Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, the Great Muta, and Dragon Master. And they took on, as it turns out, the Four Horsemen of the Anderson Brothers and the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. So it wasn't very long, this match, and it was a bit of a mess, to be perfectly honest with you. Most of the match didn't involve any commentary, really. They were just talking about what Sting would do. And halfway through the match, Sting decided to come down and try and get in the cage. Ric Flair was spitting at him, he was trying to mention him. The match basically went bonkers at the end. It didn't have any flow to it, and in the end, it was a win for obviously the Anderson brothers, and their win. Anderson DDT, I think it was Buzz Sawyer to pick up. It doesn't really matter, but they won anyway. So that was that, and then just before the end of the show, Ric Flair came running out of the cage, and him and Sting traded blows, and it went off the air. So we don't actually know if Sting was going to pull out, but the fact that actions speak louder than words, I think that Sting will still be meeting Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle War in 3 weeks. So yes, that is my review of WCW Clash of the Champions 10. Not bad. As I say, the main event was a disappointment because basically it only got 9 minutes, so I knew it wasn't going to go long. But yeah, good match, good show. Nothing really worth apart from the ongoing storyline between Sting and Flair for pretty much the whole show, which was a bit annoying in parts because you couldn't really follow because they just kept going on and on and on about it. But hey, that was WCW in 1990. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And yeah, I'll see you ringside.